Chloe, thanks for joining us again for the WeConnect Wednesday video series. Last week we discussed marginalization and the consequences it has for everyone involved. Today we're going to be talking about power and privilege. But first, let's join our friends at the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute.
The year 1963 was probably the most difficult year of the entire movement as a whole. As you'll notice on the timeline behind me, you'll see more black rectangles on this timeline than you've seen on any other timeline in the gallery. And that's because 1963 brought more death and destruction than any of the other years. So the movement theoretically broke into two different movements in 1963. The first was led by a group of people who were willing to sacrifice their lives and die in order to make the necessary change and achieve equality, while the other movement was led by a group of people willing to take lives and kill other people in order to maintain the backward status quo that had been in effect for centuries before. I'll start 1963 with George Wallace being inaugurated as the new governor of the state of Alabama, where he famously said, "Segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever." His statement will lay the foreground and expectation for the tension between those two movements that we will see in the year of 1963. As we move later into the year, you'll notice as the amount of violent events ramp up, whether it's a bombing or a murder or a rioting, the amount of media coverage is going to increase as well.
What you've seen in the galleries is a lot of adults and a lot of grown people working towards fighting the fight against segregation and racism, but we don't see a lot of children's moments, and the Children's Crusade is one of the biggest moments in the civil rights movement. And May 2nd, 1963, known as D-Day, was when 1,000 students walked out of school, walked out of home, and started marching towards the mayor's office. There was no pushback from the city or city officials, but on the next day, double D-Day, that was when Bull Connor started to fight back. This is the day where you see a lot of students and children getting hosed and bitten by dogs, and double D-Day was the biggest day that the Children's Crusade had. This was also the day and the time that national attention got put on Birmingham. The images of children getting hosed and getting bit by dogs and getting attacked for being a nonviolent protest would outrage the world, and this is what caused Birmingham to get so much attention. In local news, this event wasn't what was on the TV. It was basically on Bull Connor's dog who had gotten injured. As you can tell, these children were very brave and fought hard for what they believed in. As you can see behind me, you see some pictures of these children waving out of the cars and the buses that they were arrested in. These children were arrested in so many numbers that they had to be put on fairgrounds to be held captive in the jails. In some of these other pictures, you have students and children just being happy and gleeful and just celebrating instead of resorting to violence that they saw that happen on the same day.
So now the movement is on a world stage. It's moved from a local level to a national platform, and everyone's watching. This is the perfect opportunity for something big. In August, we have the March on Washington in order to get the federal government's attention and really make a difference. The March on Washington was an extremely successful event. Anywhere from between 250,000 to 500,000 people attended. It was led by prominent civil rights leaders, most well known Dr. King, where he gave his "I Have a Dream" speech, and others. Something unique about the March on Washington was that it not only was a call to action for blacks and whites, but the purpose was to unite all groups of people with a sense of hope and unity for the future.
It's important that we notice the role that power and privilege has in our lives. Power is the ability to influence or control others, while privilege is a special advantage or benefit not enjoyed by everyone. Power plays a huge part in prejudice and discrimination. It gives some groups of people privilege while taking those same privilege away from other groups. Here's an example. Imagine you have trained hard for a race. When you get to the event, you are told that everyone who has on a yellow shirt is going to get a 30-second head start, but you have on a blue shirt. Is that fair? Many people in dominant groups are not aware that they have power and privilege because they don't know what it's like to be a part of a marginalized group. This is why it's important that we need to connect with people from different backgrounds and experiences. When we connect with others, we can learn and better understand their experience in life. Over time, dominant groups gain more power and privilege. This can impact reaching goals in life like education and careers. Are you aware of the power and privilege that you have? Do you have an example of how power and privilege can affect someone's life? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.